Hey everybody, Chuck here once more. We're doing section H, looking at the topic of developing the supply chain transformation roadmap. And as always, of course, it's a good reminder. We're here to learn and share together, as well as this is an opinion piece, not using any of the ASCM slides in any way. But hopefully this becomes a way to help me prepare for the exam. More importantly, does it help you? I hope it helps you in some fashion as well as you go through and do your own studies. So this section here, H, develop supply chain transformation roadmap. Uh, again, it's one of those areas where it felt like to us learning that shouldn't this have been done before? And I'll say it a couple times because this always becomes a trap, I think, for all of us if we're not careful, that we get caught up in this linear sequential mentality when in fact putting a project together is like putting a puzzle together at some point. And so you may very well have done these earlier, but they're good reminders. And at the very least, if we haven't done them before, this is a good chance to sweep up and catch up everything and make sure we're good to go here. So, one of the things we talk about here is assemble the project portfolio. And the project portfolio is really a statement and a collection. It's a collection of all the projects that are grouped together, and it's a statement that we're going to manage this as one big mega project overall, so to speak. And the statement part of it is describing all the benefits we're going to deliver, which gets categorized into the work breakdown structure. A work breakdown structure, think of it like a bill of material, but in this case, it's made up of all the projects, and then the projects are made up of all the benefits expected to be delivered, broken down into where the sub processes are going to be put into the project, and and down to the different levels of detail. So we've got the work breakdown structure to guide us. Additional comment, important to note, the project portfolio statement or scope document is used to prevent scope creep, which we've talked about before. So this document's got to be broad enough that it covers everything in the project, and we can easily, well, we'll talk about governance in a little bit here, but we want to make sure this is kind of the boundaries of the project here. And so we also have to have a process to make changes to the scope if needed, and we'll catch that in the governance part. Now, the second part of this section talks about validating costs, schedules, resources, KPIs. Again, we struggled as a group saying, shouldn't we have done this before? And the feeling was, yes, we should have, but at the same time, trying to stay out of that linear sequential trap. If it hasn't been done, we got to make sure we capture it here. If it has been done before, this is a chance to take one more look to make sure that we're covered. And in that sense, that you can never go wrong by capturing one more look at things. So some of the things it says to do here, I'll read those off. Perform a detailed analysis of metrics and gaps. Okay. Important to revalidate previously identified costs to determine whether they are actually necessary still, and the initial commitment should be revalidated too. Resource constraints are going to happen. It's important to negotiate where possible to garner additional resources, working to explain and reinforce to leadership negative outcomes if we under-resource. If there's still not approval, is there a middle ground in this process that people are willing to look at to help us accomplish the project here? We also have to prioritize resource allocation. If we get a reduction in resources, we're going to have to reprioritize. And again, a reinforcement here, which I think is important, selection of the project team is crucial. Team must not only possess the required quantities of any identified competencies or skills, but must also work well together from a personality standpoint. Highly important they are engaged with the organization and the supply chain, buy into the supply chain strategy and the purpose and point of the transformation project. So as we mentioned earlier, we're looking for those people who are volunteering. They're in there with their hearts and heads. They touch all parts of the supply chain. They realize the need for change.